Hey guys, here we are, Monster Motivator TV number 30. We couldn't have picked a better number 30. Let me tell you why. I am so pumped. You guys know I've been an entrepreneur my whole adult life. I love being around entrepreneurs. I love being around that successful mindset because who you hang around with, you become, right? We got an absolute monster in the business world today. His name is Chris Hughes, and he has done more in his 40-something years of this earth than most people have done and they're going to do in their whole lifetime. And you can see the bio and the things that he's accomplished and the things that he's actually looking to do. That's what I love. That's the mindset I love to be around because it's a journey, right? And you're here for a reason. And my belief is we're here for one reason, actually, to grow, evolve, and expand. And if you're not, you got to ask yourself, why are you even here? So this guy is going to give us some real life wisdom. Nothing is theory. It's going to be real life wisdom coming from what he's done over the last, I guess, what, 20 years?
Yeah, almost 20 years.
20 years of being I had you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Where did those 20 years go? Of being an entrepreneur and building businesses and more importantly, helping people get to where they want to go if they're willing to put the hard work in.
Right.
So Chris, introduce yourself. Let us know where you started. Right? Give us that dip. Everyone's got that dip, right? Where you're at today and really where you're looking to go. That's what I'm really interested in because I know what you've done before. So give us a little bit of behind the curtain.
You bet. Well, thank you.
Yeah, man.
Pleasure
Pleasure to have you.
Cool to be here. So my journey, it all started back in my mid-20s.
Okay. That was only 5 years ago, right?
Yeah. 5 or 6 or 10 or 20. But, actually it goes back even further. I was in high school for 6 years.
Okay.
So freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and then I graduated.
Man, you sound like me. Wow.
So then, I went to college. I'm in college for 5 years.
Okay.
And I'm a sophomore when I get, when I'm done with that.
Yeah.
So struggled in high school, struggled in college, and it wasn't a matter of smart or dumb. It was a matter of I'm not interested. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to do this.
They didn't keep your attention.
Didn't keep my attention. So, and the fact is, school has been designed for a very specific type of agenda and a very specific type of person, and I didn't fit the mold.
Oh, man.
So that's a whole other rabbit hole.
And you're in a majority of an entrepreneur. When you really look behind the curtain, we don't fit that mold of staying in. I always say you want to jump off the cliff and build a plane on the way down. Absolutely. And if you don't have that DNA, that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. So, and I always felt, I felt broken. I think like a lot of entrepreneurs do, because it's like, this path that they say I'm supposed to go through, go to school, get good grades, get a good job, work for 40 years for someone else, do their bidding,
build their dream.
And I'm like, what's wrong with me that I don't want to do that?
Okay.
Right?
So let's get into that, right? Because I had the same background, right? Left back in the 2nd grade, diagnosed with ADD, said I had a learning disorder. I never even graduated high school, right? I did my 16 years, or 13 years, right? I said, I did enough of that. So how did that affect you growing up as far as your self-image? Because I'm a big believer that that's really the nucleus. Your self-image is everything. You can build it up, you tear it down, but we can't outperform it. So how did that make you feel? Did you have any outlets? I love sports, right? I love being physical. What got you through?
I had strong faith. I think that helps.
Okay.
And that identity got me through, I think.
Did that come from your family? Did that come from
my upbringing?
Your upbringing.
Yeah, my upbringing.
So you had that to at least build, right?
Yeah.
And then and you tell me if I'm wrong, in those tough times you had something to pull from.
Right, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and the thing is, when people don't have a North Star, whatever's going on in life, they don't have a North Star, they're going to drugs, they're going to alcohol, they're going to some other addiction, they're going to self-abuse, they're going
an outlet.
Some sort of an outlet.
Yes.
Sports, the gym, working out, and sometimes we find healthy outlets, right? Like working out, and sometimes we don't. So for me, there was a lot of silent desperation. There was a lot of crying.
Break that down. What does that mean?
Crying myself to sleep at night.
Okay.
Like, what is wrong with me? I mean, really.
Really?
Like in prayer, though, because at least I had
Sure.
that.
You had a connection.
I had a
You knew
connection.
there was a higher power, right?
Yep.
So that's
Yep.
for lack of a better term, that's your savior at
Yep.
that time,
Yep.
right? So,
Yep.
and that's okay. Whatever that is for that person,
Yep.
right? That's what it is.
Yep. So,
okay.
So that went on for years and years and years. I mean, you know, 25 jobs, 26 jobs, 27
Right.
jobs, bouncing around. And what I discovered through that whole process of having 27 jobs by the time I was 27 years old was I don't want one.
Right.
That was what I learned.
Okay.
It was like I kept trying to find the right job when what I finally realized was I don't want one.
Right.
I don't want to build another person's dream.
So here's what we're going to bring this right in, right? And I know your answer already, but I want you to give your perspective. Now, what you're really telling everyone is your self-image is everything tied in with the level of awareness in yourself. Is that so? You had to find that level of awareness in yourself. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, what did you say? You can build it?
So
what did you say about
so
self-image?
Self-image and culture of a business, right? Because
Yes.
it depends who I'm talking to.
Yes.
I'm talking to a corporation, culture is everything.
Yes.
Right? Everything follows.
Yep.
Sales, customer service, technology, ROI, good or bad, right?
Yep.
Your self-image.
Yep.
Everything follows your self-image. You can build it up,
Yep.
you can tear it down, but we cannot outperform it. Is that, huh?
That's so,
I mean,
it's so good.
I mean, you know,
It's everything.
I mean, it really is. It is, and it dictates. And I always tell people, if you're not happy with your results, go back to the top.
Yeah.
But it's all going to
Yeah.
start and stop from your self-image or the culture of your business.
Yeah.
And you're a businessman.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm a big believer. So you actually had to find who you were,
Yeah.
and be okay with coloring outside the lines.
Right.
Is that?
Yeah, and most people live their lives asleep,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
People are asleep.
Give us a little more, in
Well-
case someone's out there going, what does he mean?
Okay, here's what I mean. They say,
The masses, right?
Well, whoever they is.
Society.
right, so let me give you an example. Public schools, somebody made the curriculum.
Yes.
Who are they?
Right.
Okay?
Okay, so they.
Right. They say, and that's a whole other side note,
Oh,
but
believe
we
me.
send our kids there all
Yes.
day, every day, and we can't name the man or woman or the people that made the curriculum.
Right.
That's what I mean.
Right. We're going.
asleep.
We're going into a blind.
Yeah, we
I
just
love
do
that.
it. We get up. We do what they have programmed for us.
We're supposed to.
Right. Well, for example, what do? We're supposed to go to school, get good grades, get a good job, you work for 40 years, you retire when you're 65. And now they're saying we got to raise retirement by, who made that?
Right.
Who made that plan?
Right.
Why do I have to retire at 65?
Right.
What if I want to work till I'm 95? What if I want to retire when I'm 45?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like, so that's the thing. We allow ourselves to be spoon-fed by those that have put this whole thing together.
Yes.
So at some point, if anyone wants, whether they're an employee or an entrepreneur, whether they're rich or poor, at some point, if we really want to begin to live, if we want to awake, or live life awake, you got to wake up.
Yes.
You got to wake up. And so I woke up at 26, 27. I walk into the restaurant at Chili's, which is where I was working.
Okay.
And I say hi to the bartender, who was almost 60. She'd been working in a restaurant since she was a girl. I said hi, she said hi. I went around the corner to clock in, and I hear this voice, and it was the voice that woke me up. Now, I was very contemplative already up to this point,
Okay.
but I hear this voice within me that says, referring to the bartender, who's almost 60, that's you if you don't change.
Wow.
That's you
Wow.
if you don't change.
That's your aha moment.
That was my aha moment. That's you if you don't change. And so I thought, change what? What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to change? And it was silence, crickets. You know,
Right,
like,
right.
I'm like, great. You know?
The voice is like, what do you want out? What else do you need from me? I already.
Yeah, so now I'm kind of freaking out because this voice, you could call it God, you could call it intuition, you could call it your
Universe.
higher self, the universe, whatever you want to call it. That voice is calling me out. That voice is cautioning me that this is your future if you don't figure something else out. That voice is waking me up. And so now it's like, what am I going to do?
I'm curious. I got a question.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. I'm really curious about this. Up until that point, did you ever find yourself thinking about a better road?
I was always thinking
About
a better road.
Okay, so here's my point, right? And you know this. Thoughts are things.
Yes.
As you start to think, consciously or subconsciously, because I believe what I call the game changer, the game changer in life and in business is your inner coach, is your self-talk.
Yes.
Is it uplifting? Is it empowering? Or is it depleting? Is it weakening? But still, your thoughts are things. And I wanted to get that out there. Understand that aha moment, it blindsided him, right? But at that time, right, he couldn't define it. But when you look back with the wisdom you acquired, now you can break that down, right? Now it makes much more sense. But at the time, so now you're 27 years old, you're blindsided, and now what do you do?
So this is great. So that's the dip, right? In the dip is the despair. In the dip, a lot of times is the pain enough or motivation.
Fear?
Right, the fear, and my thought was, I'm not doing this for the rest of my life.
Right.
I'm not living in the ghetto forever. I'm not breaking half of the top ramen brick and eating half for breakfast.
So let's take little chunks of this, right? So now I love this, right? We're dissecting it. Now, what he did is he made a decision.
Absolutely.
Right? He made a decision.
Yep.
You just said,
Yep.
I said I am not going to do this. I love it.
Yep.
Okay? So now.
So then, thoughts are things.
Yes.
So I start looking for better opportunity.
Okay.
I get a job at a personal development company.
Okay.
I didn't know what personal development was.
It was so foreign to you.
Had no idea. They're talking about going to seminars and reading books. I'm like,
You're like the universe. Who's talking about the universe?
I'm like, they told me, they said, part of your employee benefit is you get to go to these motivational seminars for free. And I'm thinking, does this happen after work?
Right? You're thinking, wait a minute, where's Cancun? I'm signing up for Cancun.
Because at 5 p.m. I clock out and I'm out. I ain't going to no motivational seminar. I mean, and here's a phrase that I coined many years ago. Arrogance and ignorance have a tendency to travel together.
And it's a scary combination.
And that was me. I was arrogant, and here's a guy who's living in the ghetto who's telling a successful entrepreneur, I ain't going to your seminars.
Right. You didn't have that level of awareness, right?
No.
So you start to acquire that. So now I want to break this down even more, right? So people know, because they're tired of hearing me say this, but I don't care. It's always the same recipe, but just different ingredients.
Yeah.
So now, what did he do? He made a decision, but he started taking action. And what I say is action becomes magical, right?
Yeah.
The people and the circumstances come into your life and start to make it happen.
Yeah.
Things in your life happen that the greatest Hollywood screenwriters couldn't write.
That's right.
You're thinking,
That's right.
holy, how did this happen?
Yep.
Right?
The serendipity, the coincidence, the
Right.
chance
The luck,
occurrences,
the luck.
It's like, wow, how in the world? I mean, if you look at how I met that guy,
right?
How I ended up at that meeting.
Isn't it?
And I'll give you an example. This is a crazy
Definitely.
story.
We love the vignettes.
So I've had it moment.
Mm-hmm.
I've made my decision.
Mm-hmm.
Now I am looking, eyes wide open. I'm looking. I'm scouring the newspaper back when we did that.
The
And I'm
alert
looking,
is up, right?
Yeah, and I'm looking for new jobs. I'm looking for new opportunities. I hear about a job with my buddy as an account executive. Well, that sounds a lot better than waiting tables.
Right.
So I take that job. Well, it was a stupid, ridiculous job. I was an account executive. I went from grocery store to grocery store it was an ice machine. You know those giant ice machines? They actually make their own ice, right? They make their own ice. The bag opens, the ice falls in, it seals, it drops it down into the thing, right?
Yeah.
But if you notice, if you go there, they're all nice and stacked. Well, how does that happen? Guys like me,
that is
the account executive. So when I get hired, they give me a rubber mallet. You ever seen an account executive with a rubber mallet? You know?
The Flintstones, right?
They're like, welcome. You don't need that suit. You can wear tennis shoes.
Welcome to Bedrock.
Here's your mallet.
Wow.
And my job was to take that ice that fell out and froze all mangled,
right.
Bang it flat and stack it up. And I went from store to store to store.
Right.
Well, one day I'm in a parking lot. I'm eating a greasy hamburger, listening to deadening talk radio.
Right.
and I'm watching my heat gauge go up and up and up in my car. No AC, 100 degrees,
right.
Texas heat, you know. And I'm like, I remembered it doing that before in Santa Rosa, New Mexico, when my radiator exploded. Right. And I had $17 in my pocket to my name. And that's a whole other story. Yeah. But I'm like, oh gosh, please no, please no, please no. And it goes up, 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 up. And I'm saying a prayer, like I can't afford this, I can't have this happen in my life. And then it goes down, 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 down. And I thought, I am a miracle worker, you know, that was amazing. And then boom, it went up and my radiator blows. So that forced me to now look for a job where I didn't have to drive. Wow. And so I'm looking for a new job where I don't have to drive.
You have no vehicle.
You have no vehicle. My dad said, you know, maybe you can borrow the station wagon. Right. You know what I mean? Right. Gosh, and it's like, do I want to? I mean, I wish I had Uber back then. You know?
Yeah, we'll walk, right?
So, but this is interesting because this is those crazy things that happen.
Yeah.
I had a dream. I had a dream one night that I went to church, and I came out of church, and I'm walking out to the parking lot, and this Volkswagen Jetta drives right past me. The brake lights come on, the reverse lights come on, they back up, and this girl who I go to church with rolls down a window and says, Chris, do you need a job? That was my dream.
Wow.
Okay? I wake up Sunday morning, and you know how you have a dream but you've forgotten it?
Yeah.
And then something has to happen during the day.
But it's still in your subconscious.
And then you remember you had the dream?
Yes.
I go to church. I'm walking out of church towards the parking lot. Right in front of me drives a Volkswagen Jetta. My whole body just goosebumps.
Right.
And then I'm thinking brake lights, then there's the brake lights. Reverse lights, there's the reverse lights. She backs it up, rolls down her window, says, Chris, what do you do for work? And I'm thinking, this is close enough.
Right. You're looking around like, man, oh man.
Yeah, this is close enough.
Wow.
So I said, interesting you asked. My car blew up. I had a route that I ran, and I can't run the route anymore. She says, you should call my brother, and I'm going to give him a shout out because I'm sure he'll watch this, Curtis Rasmussen. Okay. She said, he's got a personal development company. I think you'd be great. Long story short, I call him up. I come in, he hires me in the doorway of the office. Wow. We had 5 minute, it wasn't even an interview. It was just
did you ask him if they have a noise machine?
Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, he said, welcome to the company, here's your mallet. You know, I'm out of here. So I did inside sales for this personal development company. I was terrible, I never sold anything.
Okay.
One day Curtis takes me out in the parking lot, basically says, your hardware's great, you have software issues.
I like that.
Yeah,
okay.
you have software issues.
I like that.
And he gives me a series of audio programs, audio tapes. Les Brown was in there. Well, maybe Les came later, but one for sure was Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul,
yeah,
The Secret, one of the top.
Bob Proctor.
Yeah,
the whole bit.
So I started listening to Jack Canfield, and the audio that was in there was self-esteem, self-image, right? Self-esteem and peak performance. And I thought, I don't have either. And I would like both, self-esteem and peak performance. So I started listening. I quit that job right after I got those audios.
Really?
Yeah, because I was afraid I was going to get fired. You know, I wasn't doing anything. And there's a whole lot more to the story. I went back to Chili's, and I'm listening to these audios. I hear about the book Think and Grow Rich. I go and get the book. On the first sentence, in the first paragraph, in the first chapter, it says, thoughts are things. And some people will read that and go right on to the second sentence.
Yes.
It stopped me in my tracks.
Wow.
Thoughts are not idle, energetic
quantum
firings.
physics tells us that.
Exactly.
Yes.
They are things.
It's the most powerful.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And so I got it. And I've gotten it a lot more sense. You know, you think you got it, but I got it enough to get me on track. And in that moment, I began to think, not about getting out of this miserable life that I have. Right. I began to think about creative solutions. I began to think about how am I going to become an entrepreneur.
So let's give them even more value, right? Let's break this down. So here's the deal, right? Thoughts are things. If you're not sure, if you think that it's pink elephants, the unicorn, and the Easter bunny, quantum physics tells you that you're wrong. Thoughts are things. Now, how do you take that even a step further? What did Chris do? He focused, whether he realized it or not, right at the time, he focused on what he wanted versus what he didn't want. Now, I'm going to have people are going to type in and they're going to say, well, that's great. You guys did it, but how do you actually do it? I'm going to give you a real quick plan to do this. I want you to take a sheet of paper. I want you to write down, I'm not going to ask you to write down what you want. I'm going to ask you to write down what you don't want, because that's what everyone can tell you, right? Write down what you don't want. On the other, put a line down the center. On the other side, put the polar opposite of that. Take that left list, throw it out. Now, that's what you have. That's what you did, consciously or subconsciously, whatever that is. I wanted them to know, like, how your journey is like everyone else's, right? It's the same recipe.
There's a pattern.
There's
like a template almost.
There's a game plan.
Yes.
You know, there's a game plan. So now where are we at?
Well, so I realizing this, I began to determine what it is that I want.
Okay.
But now I need, okay, I have a desire. I'm awake. I get it. I'm not living like this anymore. But what do I do? And what I learned in that audio and in Think and Grow Rich is there is something called the philosophy of success.
Oh, yes.
That's what Napoleon built, right? Is the
plan.
philosophy of success. Carnegie challenged him, take 20 years of your life, I'll give you letters of introduction to the top 500 most successful men and women in the world, and you interview all of them and find out what they have in common and write the book, The Philosophy of Success. That book is Think and Grow Rich. And so I began to study that, and that led me to other books and audios and seminars and people and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And here's what I've learned, and this is value for our viewers today.
Bring it.
If you can control, not if, when you control your thoughts, feelings, words, actions, and beliefs, you work those 5 things out, I call them success stars. You line those things up, your thoughts, words, feelings, beliefs, and actions, there is nothing else. You fix that stuff, because look, we're fat, sick, and miserable, and mediocre and average because of the way we think, because of the way we feel, because of the things we believe, because of the things we say, and because of the things that we do.
Right. Isn't it? Yep.
And if you change all of that, everything changes. But for me, how did I learn all that? It's the books I read, the audios I listened to, the seminars I attended, and the associations that I had.
That's exactly it, right? Now, if you break down those 5 pillars that you talked about, the 5 stars, right?
Yep.
The first one is what?
Thoughts.
Okay, so it all generates from the thought, right?
Yeah. Well, and let me give you an exception.
Yeah.
There's no 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because a lot of times our beliefs about ourselves will affect our thoughts. You know what I mean?
Oh, your self-image.
Yeah, your self-image.
But that's where I'm going with it, right? Check this out. We're gonna tie this in for everybody. So we're gonna take all the excuses out, right? That they don't know.
Yeah.
So now your thoughts. Second is what?
Well, there's no order. That's the thing. But we can go thoughts. We can go beliefs. Feelings.
So we can go thoughts. Well, actually, let's start with your self-talk.
Yeah.
Your verbiage, right? Because then that starts to reinforce your belief, good or bad, which then builds up or tears down your self-image, which then creates the action that you're taking. And what I love about, because I have my own different formula, same thing, right? Where if the bottom line with your 5 stars, here's the bottom line. When you get to that last one, which are your results, your reality.
Yeah.
If you're not happy, go back to the top and reevaluate.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Go back to the
Jim Rohn, right?
Yeah.
Jim Rohn said that everything, his 5 major pieces of the life puzzle, it all goes back to your personal philosophy. And a lot of people don't get that. It's like, what is a philosophy?
Or they don't have one.
Or they don't have one. But another word for that is beliefs. What do you believe about being a college dropout?
Right.
What do you believe about being a woman in America? What do you believe about being an African American? What do you really believe is true? Because here's the thing, and I want to say this. What you believe is true, even if it's not true for any of the rest of us, is true for you. It is true for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a little quick story that Anthony Robbins had shared, right? He said Steve Jobs was adopted, right? So when he found out that he was adopted, one of the neighbor girls said to him when he was young, "You weren't wanted." So growing up, he literally, one day was literally in his room crying. And his mom came in and said, "What's the matter?" She said, I didn't know that I was, not wanted. She goes, no. you got it all backwards. He goes, what do you mean? She goes, we picked you. And see, that gives me the chills because I was actually adopted as an infant. So we picked you. And he said that changed so much.
Reframed his whole life.
All it did, though, was give him a different belief system in who he is, which helped build his self-image, right? Now, let's give an example. Suppose his self-image was just bulletproof.
Right.
But that girl, then at that armor, what happens? He starts tearing down that self-image. Right? But his mom just turned it around so quick with a real true statement. They did pick him. I mean, they picked them, right?
And that shows the power of our associations.
Yes.
That shows the power of words.
Yes.
Because what is that? You know what I mean? You think it's just some random comment. No, our words have life force.
Yes.
And death force as well.
Right.
You know?
Right. It's a double-edged sword. And for the parents out there, when you're talking about the conscious and the subconscious mind, your kids' subconscious mind is like a sponge.
Yeah.
Everything that you tell, then that becomes our conditioning, right? I always tell people I was the elephant in the circus. You know, they tie an elephant, the baby elephant, and I realized I thought that I couldn't go any further because I'm just a laborer, right? I'm just a physical guy. I wasn't supposed to win. On paper, I had no business winning, right? So let's take us, I know you're running out of time a little bit, so take us a little further in and give us where you're at now and where you see yourself going.
Okay, well, very good. And before, in a segue,
yes,
real quick.
Yes.
So to the parents that are listening.
Yes.
Because you got messed up and I got messed up.
That's all right, but this is a passion.
As parents, if you're the parents of small children, please hear this. They believe everything you tell them. Whether it's good or bad, fact or fiction, if you say it in their little minds, it is true, it is real, and there is no other reality.
That's why there's Santa Claus.
That's exactly right.
That's why there's the Easter Bunny, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen kids fighting over the fact that there is a Santa Claus because my mom and dad told me and they wouldn't lie to me.
I just had that argument last week.
Yeah, right.
I still believe.
But so I tell people all the time when I have kids, and I have 4 small kids.
Yeah.
Tell your kids what you want them to believe.
Yes.
Right? Who do you want your children to? I tell my kids all the time, like if you ask my kids, what does it mean to be a Hughes? They're going to say, we're leaders.
Yes. Yeah.
They don't think that. They know.
They believe that.
Yeah, they know. It's beyond belief even. It's knowledge. They know that Hugheses are leaders because their dad told them so.
Over and over.
You got it?
And over.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
I think that's a great point.
Yeah. So never underestimate your power as parents. You know,
it's the ultimate.
And you're shaping the future of the world.
No, it's the ultimate. It's the and it's the ultimate job, right?
Yeah.
If you want to call it a job, or I should say the ultimate responsibility, right? And on the same, because I'm a big guy on accountability. At the same time, I also want to take them off the hook when they become adults. If you did everything you could, now it's up to them to figure it out. You know, and I know a lot of parents take that on, and it's not their job.
Yeah, not their job.
It's not their job. And as a successful entrepreneur, I know we struggle with this all the time. We want to help everybody, and we want to pull them through the way we did, right? But it's not always their turn. Right? It's not their time.
That's right.
And it kind of takes us off the hook.
Yeah, that's right.
So now
we okay? Yeah, we're wrapping up.
Yeah. So where are you at now, and where do you see yourself going?
Well, a couple things. So in my poverty, I wanted to write books.
Okay.
I wanted to do seminars. I wanted to have conversations like this.
Yeah.
You know, professionally, and to be able to help people and serve. But first, I had to help myself. So here was my game plan. As I'm reading Think and Grow Rich and As a Man Thinketh and the science of getting rich, you know, and I read a lot of books about money and wealth because if you want to be wealthy, you should probably study.
Yeah, it's kind of a good idea, right?
So well, it's funny because if you want to build houses, you study that.
Yeah.
If you want to be, a medical doctor, you study medicine.
Accountant, right?
Whatever
that
study
is.
accounting.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I did a seminar in India, and you asked if there's 1,000 people in the room, how many of y'all want to be wealthy? And all the hands go up. Well, then how many of you are studying wealth right now? How many of you have a wealth right next to your bed? There's a book right next to your bed on wealth. Yeah. Well, if you don't, like, there's such a huge disconnect.
Yes.
We want to become wealthy like we want to win the lottery.
Right.
And it's like, that doesn't work. So I had these dreams that I wanted to accomplish. I want to speak and write and coach and train and make a difference in the world. Okay. How am I going to do that? The limiting beliefs, which we don't have time to talk about. But my limiting belief was, we okay?
Yep, we're good.
What am I going to put on the back of my book? Chris Hughes is, Chris Hughes, and there was nothing. I had no accomplishments. I had no success. So my decision was, I'm going to start a business, and I'm going to apply this philosophy of success in the laboratory of my own life, so that because if it's true,
it's not theory,
right? If it's, and I remember reading The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, written in 1910, I think. Yeah. And I remember reading that book and becoming angry and thinking to myself, if this is true, I mean, really, like, shaking anger. Yeah. If this is true, because he's saying, this is, like, if you do this, you will get wealthy. He says that.
Right. There's no bones about it.
Yeah,
right.
You're going to get wealthy. And he says it's not just wealth, it's anything you want. It's a beautiful relationship, it's health,
everything,
it's
spiritual, everything.
And so as I concluded that book, I'm upset, and I'm thinking, if this is true, big if, because I don't know, right? If this is true, why are they not teaching this in the school system? And that was when I realized it is true. And because it's true, that's why they're not teaching it in the school system.
And it's a tragedy.
Yes, because they don't want free thinkers. They don't want people to go out there and dispute what they are, telling us and wanting us to do.
Outside of that track.
Yeah. So I made a decision that what I have read in this book is true.
Okay.
And I'm going to apply it as though it's true. Okay. And I'm going to live it and do it as though it's true. And I did that. And in just a matter of, well, first of all, my income that year, 12 months later, had tripled. Tripled in 1 year. I was flat, below the poverty line for the better part of a decade. Year after year after year, below the poverty line. 1 year of applying this stuff in the laboratory of my own life, my income tripled. The next year, my income doubled what had tripled the year before. The next year, my income tripled what it had doubled and then tripled the years before.
Just a domino effect. Yeah.
So people say, oh, quantum growth isn't possible. And I believe that is true if you're not willing to grow quantumly. But if you are willing to grow in quantum ways in your mind, you can grow in quantum ways in your finances.
That's the
golden nugget. Spiritual life.
That's the golden nugget we were looking for. And let's also make no mistake, if you're not willing to get dirty, if you're not willing to fall down and get back up and brush yourself off, all that means nothing.
Yeah.
Would you
I
agree?
absolutely agree. People don't want to do it. Here's the thing. People will dig ditches for 12 hours a day long before they'll read a book.
Yeah. Or go do what it takes to get you out of that ditch. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
To do whatever that is. Whatever that takes. And I'm a big, again, he's a big book guy, right? Yeah. Understanding your level of awareness, I know that I'm much better. I'm going to get more out of the CDs because I use my vehicle as a university on wheels because I want to. It's better for me to listen.
Right.
I know I'm not going to sit long enough to read that book, but understanding who you are, I know that. Just before we jump off, I want to acknowledge if anybody jumped on and they had a question before you left.
Yeah. You bet.
A lot of agreements.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is
Richard and Jessica McCarthy.
Hey, Rich, how you doing, pal? This guy's killing it. He just started his own sports nutrition supplement business, and the guy's got more knowledge, knows more about sports nutrition than he forgot more than I know. Guy's amazing.
Yep, he totally agrees. Janelle's on.
Just give us some names. We'll say hello.
Aaron Ratchman.
Aaron.
Robert Musso, Abigail Robinson, Carl Hess.
Thank you guys for tuning in. If you have any questions, he's here, and we're gonna wrap this up with where can they find you?
They can find me at cshughes.com, and I want to take a minute. Is that all right?
Oh no.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to share my belief.
Yeah.
Okay. Take it or leave it.
We want it. Yeah.
My belief is that I was created in the image of God. Okay. Now some people don't believe in God, and that's fine. You put this through your filters.
It's not religion.
It's not about religion. This is just my belief. I believe that I was created by God. I believe that I was created in His likeness and in His image. And likeness is such a powerful word. And as I think about what would the likeness of God be, it wouldn't be poverty. You know, it wouldn't be despair. It wouldn't be depression. It wouldn't be mediocrity.
And it would be the wrong God.
Yeah, right, right.
Let's
so
be
it's like,
real.
so, and again, even if someone doesn't believe any of what just came out of my mouth, if they decide to, that's transformative.
Yes.
And let me give you an example. I was always told that college dropouts don't do well. So I didn't do well because I didn't want to disappoint anybody, A, but also I believed that that was true.
Until that shift.
Until that shifted. Then I learned Zuckerberg dropped out. Then I learned Steve Jobs dropped out. Then I learned Bill Gates dropped out. Then I learned Michael Dell dropped out. Yeah, I mean, it's like, then my new belief was, my old belief was college dropouts don't do well. My new belief was, no, college dropouts are the wealthiest people in the world.
Yes.
And that liberated me.
Yes.
So understanding that I was created for abundance, for an amazing life, to make a difference. So to everybody that's listening, none of us were designed for mediocrity. None of us were designed to crawl around on our hands and knees and beg life for a morsel of food. Like that's just my belief.
Right.
Some people might believe that. I don't believe that. And so you talk a lot about the dip. We all have dips. So you're in the dip. What are you going to do? Well, if you keep doing what you've always done, you keep getting what you always got.
And
right?
what is that?
Which
that's
is more
insanity.
of the same. It's insanity. More of the same. So in the dip, sometimes we're allowed to go in a dip because the wisdom oftentimes is found there. If life is too cozy, too comfortable, I'm good. My bills are paid.
So I always say that the greatest class an entrepreneur will attend is failure.
Absolutely.
It's just part of it.
Yeah.
It's part of it. But do you have what it takes? And I always go back to identify your why. See, when your why becomes big enough, it's going to pull you through. When your why becomes bigger than you become unstoppable. But most people can't identify, or they don't think they can identify that why. So anything I didn't touch on before we jump off, man? Because it's been awesome.
No, we're good. I just want my next book.
Yeah.
Is entitled "You Can, Your Choice."
Okay.
And that would be my parting message. Is that first of all, if you feel like your life is less than abundant, if you feel like your life is less than fulfilling, it's important to know that you can have a better life, that you can make a bigger difference, that you can earn more money, that you can pay off your debts, that you can be a stay-at-home mom, that you can be a stay-at-home dad, that you can travel the world, you can create wealth, you can be a best-selling author, you can be famous if that's what you want, you can make a difference, you can be a Nobel Peace Prize winner, you can do cool interviews like this, you can do whatever you want, you can, but it's your choice.
Yes.
And in the dip, in the mediocrity, you have to choose, yes, I want more. You have to choose to read the books. You have to choose to get away from those negative, toxic, caustic individuals that are pulling you down. You've got to choose to do the ugly work, rolling up your sleeve and digging the ditches. And if you choose to do those things, and if you do it consistently, you can change your life. We got a room full of people ready for the next seminar. So,
man, that is awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
And this is what Monster Motivator TV is all about. We're looking for business owners, nonprofits, people to make a difference in their community. We're going to come to you. We're going to highlight what you're doing, so we're going to give you the value back and keep making it happen.
awesome, man. I enjoyed that.